What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I apologize ahead of time. I know the video quality is probably a little bit off, and so is our audio, but we are experimenting with some things. So originally, this is kind of the concept we had for this channel for certain videos that aren't like primarily bike reviews, because we wanted to do a lot more frequent videos. We want to get to the point where we're probably doing 2 videos a day on this channel. And yeah, having the screen record function definitely helps out a ton. Unfortunately, the microphone we wanted to use, apparently you can't just plug it into a MacBook, so got to use an AirPod for right now. So I know the audio is a little bit off, so bear with us. But if you guys end up finding this video helpful or informative, definitely let us know in the comment section if this ends up working for you. Because like I said, we do want to eventually get to the point where we're cranking out 2 videos a day on just different topics and maybe some live streams as well. Essentially, the goal is to be like your local bike shop employee. So you can ask us questions, videos out on a frequent basis. And yeah, the screen record is going to help out a ton to show you guys like what we're talking about. And also, if you are a tech guru, definitely let us know how to get a microphone connected to the MacBook. We just couldn't get ours that we use for our videos. But with that being said, long story short, if you're on this channel, you definitely found us bike reviews, bike product, bike feedback, all that stuff, answering your guys' questions. So if you guys want more bike information, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. The channel has been growing like crazy. We really do appreciate all of the support. This video in particular, we're actually going to go ahead and break down Ibis Cycles lineup. Now, we personally have been riding for Ibis for about 3 years now, and we've been doing a ton of testing over the years as well. So let me just check. Okay, it's still screen recording. And yeah, we've done a lot of testing over the years, and yeah, it's just, we definitely are pretty stoked on the brand. I've personally had a chance to ride I would say almost every bike in their lineup except one. We'll talk about that one. And so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take their entire lineup and break it down. I'm going to give my thoughts on each model, who they're for, what I think about certain build kits. The other thing too is if you guys want me to do this for other brands like a Santa Cruz breakdown or a YT breakdown, also let us know in the comment section because maybe we'll start cranking out those as well. And if you guys have any other video concepts, let us know, or questions or any of that stuff, let us know in the comments, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Another thing I want to tell you guys is if you are in the market for an Ibis bike, here is our buddy's contact at M+1 Bikes. We work with him a ton, and he takes care of awesome MTB viewers. So give him a call. His phone number is right there, 502-718-7246. And yeah, he'll take care of you. Let him know that we sent you. And Sean is the man, customer service to the next level. Oh shoot, we already went on to the Exie, but yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and just kind of jump into this video. Also, you guys, if you can hit that like button, it helps get this video out to more people out there. But yeah, so if you are in the market for an Ibis Cycles bike, you probably noticed that they actually have a ton of models right now. Probably the most models maybe they've had no, actually, I think this might be the most models because now you have aluminum offerings, carbon offerings, and yeah, they really do have something for everyone. And the cool thing with Ibis Cycles is it's not like they have multiple bikes that will fill a certain need. Each bike is pretty unique, even though it does kind of cross into different categories. But yeah, I would say each of these bikes has its own personality. And yeah, there's definitely something great about each of these bikes, and also maybe not so great for certain riders out there. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and break down the lineup. And I guess we'll start off at the bottom. So the one bike we can kind of check off the box really fast is because some of you guys are going to be like, Mo, stop talking about this one. The Hakka MX is their gravel bike. In all honesty, I really love this bike. I know for you die-hard mountain bike riders, you guys are probably like, Mo, do not talk about drop bar bikes here. But I don't know, I just feel like it's a really fun bike. I put a ton of miles both on-road and off-road. And also, I've run it in 650 and 700. You can run this in both. I do like both, but recently I've been really liking the 700s. And as you guys can see, the rival kits, $35.99, I think solid bang for buck, very stiff frame, and you can go both either 700 or 650. They also offer the Shimano GRX option, a little bit pricier, but I personally think it's worth it. I really like Shimano GRX. And yeah, with that being said, I'll stop talking about this one unless you guys want us to do a full dedicated video just for reviewing the Hakka MXs we've been riding. Let us know in the comments and we'll make that happen. All right, so if we pop back to the previous page, the next bike we're going to talk about, and we're going to get this one out of the way just because this is the only bike in this entire lineup that I personally have not ridden, and that is the Mojo 4. Now, even though I haven't ridden it, this is Hannah's favorite bike in the entire lineup. And she actually ended up liking this bike more than her previous HD5. She said that it felt like this was a little bit more trail friendly, where the HD5 is very aggressive. If we pull up this bike, yeah, as you guys can tell, you're looking at 130 mils of travel, so scratch the 140 part, 130 in the rear, 140 up front. And yeah, it's just one of those things where the head angle, so I'm gonna go ahead and once again, you guys, bear with us because I'm starting to learn how to do this whole screen record and comparison thing. I'm also going to pull up the HD5, which is going to be that previous bike we were talking about, and pull that up. So yeah, HD5, 153 in the rear, 130 in the rear on this. You guys are probably like, oh no, that's not that much. That's actually a significant amount of travel when it comes to both of these bikes. The Mojo rides a little on the poppier, more playful side, where I feel like the HD5, and I've had a ton of time on the HD5, the HD5 is definitely a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more traction on there as well, which will lead to a little bit more of an active suspension design. But the key differences here and why Hannah likes the Mojo 4 so much is if you go down to the geo chart, let's pull up the geo chart. So you're looking at a 65.4 degree head angle. Now, 65.4 is fairly slack for a head angle. And yeah, I feel like trail all mountain 65.4 is kind of right where you want it to be. If you pull up the Mojo HD5, and I did love this bike, I was on it for a while. If you pull it up, you're looking at a 64 degree head angle, so about a degree and a half slacker. Now, with that being said, 64 on a trail bike for a lot of trails out there, I feel like is a little on the excessive side. So unless you're really charging the trails and you're kind of pushing that thing, I don't know. I just feel like the 65.4 is that sweet spot. And yeah, it's just going to be a little bit more maneuverable, a little bit more manageable in tighter, twisty situations. And I just kind of feel like that for most riders out there on most trails, the Mojo 4 is probably going to be more than enough bike. And as we mentioned, Hannah ended up preferring this over the HD5. And I think if I ended up liking little wheels, I probably would have gone down to the Mojo 4. I did have the HD5. This thing is a burly trail slayer. I guess we could talk about this bike as well. So, for that rider, so say you're the type of rider that you don't really care how long it takes you to get to the top of the mountain. You're okay just kind of cruising. But at the end of the day, when you get to the top, if you have trail options, you are going to pick the most aggressive trail on the mountain. The HD5 is going to be for you. Not only do you have that slack head angle, you have a little bit more travel in this, and overall, you also have a little bit of a burlier style frame. If you look at the tubing here, I mean, this thing is definitely a trail monster. I wonder if I could zoom in and you guys can still see. Oh, cool. Yeah, so if you look at this thing is, man, it's just aggressive, it's stiff, it's beefy. You still have relatively short chainstays on here, and so you're going to get a very, it's kind of best of both worlds, like an aggressive ride, but you'll still have that nimbleness that Ibis bikes are known for. But you can also run a coil on here, which is probably going to make descending for you downhill enthusiast a little bit better. So if you look here on the shock options, you should be able to pick DVO Jade X coil. Not too much of an upcharge. And I do think that that coil on this bike with a stiff fork like the Onyx up front, it's going to be that perfect like bike park setup or aggressive enduro setup. So yeah, if you're that aggressive rider, I think the HT5 is going to be the right bike for you. But say you're looking for like a one bike quiver, you really do like climbing, trail rides, and yeah, you want a capable, fun bike. When you look at this Mojo 4, I just feel like you look at the bike, it looks fun, and I feel like that's why Hannah ended up going with this over the HD5. And yeah, overall, she definitely enjoys this one a little bit more. If we look at build kits on this, you got some good affordable options on here as well. So if you look at the Dior option, About 5 grand. Yes, I know 5 grand still is a lot of money. With that being said, it does look like the cost of bikes in general are starting to go up. I was thinking about doing a video about cost of bikes rising relatively soon because I was doing some research on YT. Basically, I was doing some research for an affordable mountain bike video. And if you guys want to see that, let us know in the comments. But it looks like the prices are rising kind of across the board. But with that being said, Dior build kit on here, still a solid build. I think that if you do have the money to kind of go up to the SLX on either of these builds, the cool thing with Ibis is most of their builds are pretty similar in terms of like what their offerings are. If you look at this SLX, and yeah, I just feel like you get the brakes should be Shimano SLX. Let's see what the brakes are on the Dior. Brake, Shimano Dior. No, the Dior brakes are pretty solid. I feel like either way you go here, you're gonna get a solid build option. Hannah did also upgrade the rear shock to the Piggy, and she ended up liking that. So she's got the DVO Topaz on here, and it just makes it a very plush ride too. And yeah, I feel like between both these bikes, it's going to be tough to go wrong, but like I said, if you're looking for that more all-around trail-friendly bike, the Mojo 4, definitely the bike for you. If you want to go a little bit burly, a little bit more bike parky, I feel like the HD5 is for you. And yeah, that's kind of breaking down the little wheel bikes. And now we're going to move on to bikes that interest me a little bit more so. As you guys probably know, I am a big wheel enthusiast. I love big wheels. And so let's start off with, let's start off with my favorite bike in the entire lineup. And that is going to be, how do I open link in new tab? Okay. Uh, did it open? There you go. Yeah, so this is my favorite bike in the entire lineup, and I'm also going to bring up its aluminum sibling, the Ripley AF. So we're going to open that in another tab. And yeah, so the Ripley AF, oh, what's up, Pat? That's Pat Samaji. And the Ripley Carbon. So the Ripley Carbon, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, my favorite bike I've ever owned. And to be completely honest with you guys, even though I've been on the Ritmo for the last few months, I am waiting for a Ripley. As soon as I get the Ripley, that Ripley will probably become my one bike quiver. For the mountain side, I'll still have that Hakka. And yeah, I just overall really do love this bike. You're looking at 120 mils of rear travel, 130 mils of travel up front. The head angle, I want to say, yeah, 66 and a half. So a little on the steeper side. But for me personally, I just felt like this bike was essentially, it defined my riding. It was an amazing climber. It was an amazing descender, very capable. And I took it on some pretty burly tracks. Obviously, I wasn't bombing down like I am on my Ritmo, but with that being said, I felt like it was fairly capable. I just had to slow my speed down a little bit. And the other thing that I really liked about this bike is just how the weight is pretty insane on the frame. If you look at that tubing, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too aggressive, but at the same time, I felt like it still got the job done stiffness wise. In all honesty, I don't really like that black color. I really do love this blue color. And yeah, you just kind of look at those curves. The bike just looks really awesome. It pedals really well. It's very capable descending, fast climbing. Like this thing is a rocket ship uphill. And yeah, overall, I really did love this bike. And they also released a little bit more of an aggressive version of this, and that is the Ripley AF. I had this bike for a while too. You guys might have remembered some of our videos. And I also did like the Ripley AF. For me personally, I just kind of felt like it going aluminum and a degree slacker. So they went slacker on the head angle on here. And yeah, that aluminum frame definitely added, I want to say 1 to 2 pounds in terms of frame weight, which actually isn't necessarily a bad thing because what I kind of started to realize is that extra frame rate combined with that degree slacker on the head angle, it ended up making this bike a lot more capable downhill wise. So this almost felt like a Ritmo when it came time for the downhills, but then on the climbs, you still had 120 mils of travel, a little bit of extra weight, but at the same time, it still was fairly efficient on the climbs. And I felt like this was the perfect one bike quiver for that person that probably either lives in the desert or just likes riding downhill trails. But at the same time, they want a more short travel style rig. A lot of people go, "Hey Mo, the Ripley AF, like why wouldn't you just go with the Ripmo AF? Like if you basically get close to the same geo, because I want to say the head angle on this and the Ripmo AF are very similar, but it's very different ride because now you're going with a little bit more travel, and there's just like if you're ever riding any like punchy style climbs or like trails like in Sedona, you'll kind of realize that having a little bit more travel, it just kind of takes away from some of that efficiency and momentum on more punchy style climbs, where the Ripley AF is going to kind of give you that edge on more punchier style climbs, but it'll still give you that kind of more aggressive nature that it needs on the downhills. And yeah, overall was very impressed with the Ripley AF, but there's just the Ripley Carbon just holds a very special place in my heart. In terms of build kits, you got a few on here. So like once again, you have Dior, GX, SLX, and yeah, for something like this, I personally like building my bikes as light as possible. I really like that. Oh no, that's not XO1 AXS. So unfortunately, if you want to go AXS, you would have to go with that. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I think 11,499. It's a tough pill to swallow for a mountain bike. But with that being said, if you had the budget, I really do like electronic shifting, and I also like making this bike as light as I can make it because there's just something about going fast. And yeah, this bike, this build kit, this weight. But with that being said, even if you were to get this thing in the Dior build, I think you will be very impressed with how much you can take on with this bike, both uphill and downhills. And yeah, still my favorite bike. Ripley AF is a solid contender as well. Aggressive, gets the job done, and yeah, overall was very impressed with the Ripley AF as well. The cool thing with the Ripley AF is if you look at the price points, I mean, you're talking 31.99, and I feel like this is probably one of the more better bang for bucks on the market right now. I looked at YT bikes, and even those bikes are starting to come a little bit pricier than this Ripley AF. So yeah, we'll do that video a little bit later on, but Ripley AF solid contender here. Now, moving on, how are we going to move on? So we're going to close these tabs, and then we're going to open this, bikes, few all bike models. We're going to move on to a little bit more travel. So this is probably what a lot of people are probably looking at. Wait, do you guys want to go? No, let's just throw in the Exie real quick. I'm going to throw in the Exie just because this is kind of like a bike that just came out. I did a review video on this channel. And yeah, thing about the Exie, amazing bike. You're looking at 100 mils travel in the rear, 120 up front. Where is it? There it is. And yeah, overall, the color options, you can have any color you want as long as that color is black. Who said that? But yeah, so overall, it's a fast bike. Very fast bike, very stiff bike, very light bike. I want to say that frame is coming in at 2,000 grams, right around there, maybe a little underneath. Yeah, 2,000 gram frame weight. And yeah, overall was very impressed with this thing. A lot of you guys, man, it's definitely if anyone's going to be like, oh, mountain bikes are getting pricey, this one is definitely also very pricey. You're looking at $8,000, but you're also looking at made in the USA. So uh, it's a hefty price tag. Do I think it's worth it? Define worth it. If mountain bikes are your life and that's where you enjoy spending that money, at the end of the day, an Ibis Exie build with XX1 AXS is still cheaper than a Lamborghini, and you'll save a lot of money from a Lamborghini. And just saying, a lot of people have Lamborghinis. I would say there's probably less people that have Exes than there are people who own Lamborghinis. So it's even rarer than a Lamborghini. That's the salesperson in me. But with that being said, if I invested in crypto and crypto exploded and I had a ton of money, I would definitely consider this bike. Or just if you have the budget, the Ibis XE is definitely a solid bike. So, yeah. So now that we got that one out of the way, let's go back to bikes, fuel models. So this bike is probably what a lot of people are considering, the Ritmo. So we're going to open link in new tab, and the Ritmo AF. No, oh man, you guys, that's why you can't trust me with a. How do you do this? Okay, so view all models. That's why you can't trust me with a computer. Open link in new tab, and then we're gonna click this one here. Okay, sweet. So we got the Ritmo AF and the Ritmo. So this is what I'm riding currently. I'm riding the Carbon Ritmo, 147 mils of travel in the rear, 160 mils of travel up front, and I got suspension that I prefer a little bit more. Oh, they don't have the topaz here anymore. But yeah, so I'm riding this right now. Solid bike, amazing climber, amazing descender. And yeah, overall, this thing, especially when the going gets rough, it's impossible not to smile on this bike. It's the perfect blend of poppy, playful, stable, aggressive, and it still climbs really well. And it's aluminum offering, very similar to it, but with that carbon frame. Man, it's an interesting one, right? Because you look at the price points. 33.99. Now you get DVO suspension on there, so that is a plus too. You upgrade that rear shock to a Jade X coil. You have the aluminum frame, and it's very similar to the Ripley AF. When you go with the aluminum frame, you're adding about 1 to 2 pounds of frame weight. That does make the bike even more stable when it comes time to descend. I know that sounds crazy, but it just plants the bike to the ground. So if you're that type of rider that you want to just thrash your bike, you want to take it to bike parks, you still want a bike that's able to pedal and climb, but you want an aggressive chassis, this is the bike for you, and you're going to save a ton of cash. If you're trying to save a little bit of weight, you want a little bit more frame stiffness, and yeah, you're just overall, you have the budget for it. The Carbon Ripmo is insane. The V2 also came a little bit more progressive, a little slacker in comparison to the V1, and yeah, overall, I really do love the Ripley. I really do love the. I just kind of slipped right there. I was kind of getting ahead of myself. I really do love the Ritmo. I do prefer the Ripley over the Ritmo. Now, that's just me personally. I'm okay slowing it down a ton on the descents. I love being the first one to the top of the hill. With that being said, if I had more access to more bike parks, like say I lived in Whistler, and yeah, my focus was primarily on kind of big all mountain rides, or say I just wanted to be a little bit safer on the trails. I'm younger, I can get away with kind of making more mistakes at this age, or and that's where the Ripley. I feel like if you pick your lines carefully and you're okay slowing it down a little bit, you can push that Ripley to some pretty crazy places. You will be safer on the Ritmo though. And that's another place where it comes to travel and what bike you go with, and something a lot of people I don't really think of. And yeah, with that being said, Ritmo Carbon, amazing bike, very good, do everything. Ritmo AF, a little bit more aggressive, I feel like, due to that frame weight, solid price point. My personal favorite, I'm still going to go with the Ripley, but yeah, you definitely, once again, have a ton of build options here. And yeah, I think that you can't really go wrong. So essentially, to summarize this, we kind of got through everything. Where'd the Ibis bikes go? The bikes, yeah, like I said, if you're looking for aggressive, you want a burly, you want to really put your bikes through the ringer, look at the Ritmo AF, look at the Ripley AF, look at the HD5. Say you want a little bit more trail friendly, look at the Mojo, look at the Ripley. Say you want the best of both worlds, I feel like that's where the Ritmo Carbon is going to come into play. And say you just, man, you want to go spandex, you want to go lycra, look at the Hakka MX or look at the Exie. With that being said, there's a ton of options to choose from Ibis Cycles. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys want to see more, definitely hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and let us know in the comment section, what video do you guys want us to make next? If you guys are looking for any coupons or discounts, hit up the description section. We have a couple of links there, as well as the links to everything else we talked about. And consider giving Sean at N+1 Bikes a call if you are in the market for your next bike. With that being said, my name is Mo. Welcome to Awesome MTV, and until next time, you guys, ride awesome. Woo.